everybody, what's up? Killjoy Jake here, and instead of having friends, I have horror movies. We got a little bit of a Scream 2022 update, just talking about some new set photos and some new theories I have that kind of changed some of my old theories. There are 4 very specific pictures that we need to talk about right about now, so let's get into this. But first I'm gonna need y'all to like this video, subscribe, and hopefully check out my Patreon. I don't know, like, just check it out. Go click on the link in the description below. Why not? Alrighty, now let's get into it.
What's your favorite scary movie?
We'll tear your soul apart. Not the beast!
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
So 4 new pictures from the upcoming Scream film have just been released, and oh boy do they change a whole lot of things that we have seen in the trailer. This first picture we're talking about, it's just a cool picture of Ghostface wiping off some blood off of his bloody knife. You should really make sure to wash that robe after you're done there, Ghostface. You don't want to get a bloodborne disease. Touching other people's blood ain't good for you, bro. But out of all of the new shots we have gotten of Ghostface, this is definitely one of the most epic ones. I'm very curious to learn whose blood that is in January. Now this picture right here is where I think you need to put on your tinfoil hat, because this is where all my theories start going crazy. We have a picture of Dewey and Sam in the elevator at the hospital. Now, if you remember from that trailer we got like a month ago now, there was a whole bunch of scenes where we are at the hospital, Richie's getting attacked by Ghostface, Sam is getting chased by a Ghostface killer, and also we get a scene where Dewey is almost stabbed. It cuts away before we see what happens. So maybe Dewey gets stabbed in the hospital, I don't know. What we did not see from that scene though is this shot right here. I did not know Sam came to the hospital with Dewey. So then that begs the question of why is Richie here at the hospital? Now there's been a lot of speculation about a certain character being in the hospital. If you want to hear me talk more about that, you can check out this video first. But my speculation originally was that Sam and Richie went to the hospital together to visit Jenna Ortega's character, who is Melissa Barrera's character, Sam's little sister. That was a lot right there. If you need to rewind or whatever, you know what? I'm just gonna say it again. Screw it. So Sam and Tara, Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega, they're sisters, and Richie is Sam's boyfriend. So my original theory was that Sam would go to the hospital and go visit her little sister with her boyfriend, and like that's where they get attacked by Ghostface. And then Dewey is also there, maybe to save the day. But no, we learned from this picture that Sam and Dewey make it to the hospital together for whatever reason. Maybe Richie has gotten attacked by Ghostface and has called Sam for help. In fact, if you even look very closely at this picture, Sam is on the phone right now. She could be on the phone with Richie, or could she be on the phone with Ghostface? Moving on to the next picture though, there is one of Sidney Prescott with a gun, as she says in the trailer. She's Sidney Prescott, of course she's got a gun. We are at Stu's house, I believe, because of this artwork on the wall in the background. I believe this is like one of the same shots as where like she walks into Stu's house from the trailer, and then she has like a gun in her hand, obviously because she knows Ghostface is probably in here. If I was to assume anything about this picture or like that scene, this would be like where I'm thinking the beginning of the 3rd act begins, where maybe we get some kind of Ghostface reveal at Stu's house. That would only be fitting. I do want to point out that Sidney has a very concerned look on her face. For whatever reason, she is very perturbed about the situation, probably because she already knows that someone has been murdered at this house. Or maybe the Woodsboro Horror Film Club was held here, and maybe it got attacked by a Ghostface killer. Something I talk about a lot in my videos is I love in a horror film when you have like some kind of party sequence and a slasher killer just comes in and starts slicing people up like it's just fucking nothing, like they're just going through like hundreds of people. Freddy vs. Jason, for example, like the whole cornfield party scene. I love that. That's like my favorite scene in the whole movie. Piranha 3D, the Crimson Tide scene. I think you all know what I'm talking about. It's the coolest scene in the movie. Could we get something like that? We do know that some kind of party is happening at Stu's house, potentially the Woodsboro Horror Film Club. They've already like kind of talked about that with the marketing a little bit, that was going to be a part of this movie. So could there be some characters that are having like a horror film gathering where they like talk and like possibly watch some of the stab films? And then maybe their party gets crashed by none other than whoever the Ghostface killer is. And then Sidney Prescott comes to hopefully help out the survivors, or maybe everyone's already dead. I'm not sure. Now this last picture is where my theories start going absolutely bonkers. Here we get a shot of what I assume is Kyle Gallner's character on the ground about to be murdered by Ghostface. Now we saw in the trailer there's a few scenes of like Kyle Gallner with Ghostface behind him. Ooh, spooky, scary. There's also a scene which I'm assuming is part of this same scene where Ghostface is going like this and you just see his shadow on like this brick wall in like the background, I mean. Now, I want to expand on this a little further in the future when I have a little more time. I've already made, I'm making this video on Monday. I'm assuming this is going to go up Tuesday morning, but I want to make a video later this week where I talk about this car on the very right. Now, I've noticed this vehicle in particular in a few shots of the movie. I want to check the license plate, and I want to do a little more research and do an entire video on this in the future. Today, I kind of want to just talk about these set photos. But if maybe I'm wrong about this, maybe I'm just totally crazy. This could be just a side tangent that doesn't go anywhere, or it could be a video later this week. This car, I feel like I have seen it so many different times in all of the marketing. In that new clip, in the trailer, we see this car in little instances. Whose car is this? And why is it everywhere in this movie? Like, is Ghostface driving around in a little tan car like this? That would be kind of cute. Once again, I could be totally wrong, but this looks like the car that, if you remember, I talked about that shot where like you see like Elm Street, and it's like, oh cool, that's a reference to Nightmare on Elm Street. There's a car driving down the road. It's a tan car. It looks like it could be the back of this same car. I want to check the license plate and do like a whole video on that. I could be totally wrong though, and that's why I don't want to like kind of elaborate on that super further until I've done a bunch of research into that. So I'm saving that for a potential future video, possibly coming out later this week. The one thing I do really want to say that's like a little more concrete about this picture is that my opinion on that one line from the trailer is starting to shift. I said a while ago that like that one line in the trailer about like how the Ghostface killer is going after people who are related to the past killers, that just sounded, that whole phrasing, I just don't like it. It sounded weird to me. It felt like something they made it just ad-libbed and threw into the trailer to kind of throw all of us off. Now I'm starting to think that maybe like, I talked about this in my last video a little bit, that the character of Vince, played by Kyle Gallner, who I think is in this picture, we can't tell because his face is down, I believe he might be somebody's love child. Billy and Sydney's love child, perhaps. Now, I only proposed that theory because I recently like remembered, it just totally slipped my mind for whatever reason, that there's like a 2-year gap in between Scream 1 and Scream 2 where we don't really know what happens in between those years. 1997, a total blur in the Scream franchise. We have no idea what actually happened with our characters then. So it is possible that Sidney Prescott was maybe pregnant after like, well, what happened at Stu's house that night, if you know what I'm saying. Sure, that might be a bit of a stretch, but the theme of family is going to be very important in this new film. Very obviously. We see Sidney Prescott pushing around a baby carriage. She has a newborn child from whoever her husband is in this new film. So I would not be surprised if they decided to take that route, and if it's executed correctly, could be done well. You could also totally fuck up that plot line very easily. But don't forget who we're working with here. The Radio Silence boys. Their skit in VHS is wonderful. I think they produced all of the VHS movies, if I'm correct about that. But they only did the one skit for that original film. They also did this movie called Southbound. I always forget the one about the one with the mom that eats all the meat in the grocery store. I love that movie too. And Ready or Not, as of most recently. These guys are amazing horror filmmakers. I cannot wait to see what they do in January with this new film. But what do you guys think about these 4 new set photos? Are you even more excited for the new Scream film that comes out in January, or like these set photos, they just totally ruined it for you? Totally killed your vibe. Leave me a comment about it down below. Thank you all so much for watching my new Scream 5 update. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Just look up Killjoy Jake and I'll come up. Please consider supporting me on Patreon. The link for that will be in the description below, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.